America's working class has spoken, and the silence from political leaders is deafening. Are we on the brink of a political reckoning? Senator Bernie Sanders, a fierce advocate for the average American, has issued a damning critique after the recent election loss that sent shockwaves through the Democratic Party. In a candid interview, he pulls no punches, exposing the harsh truths about a system that, according to him, prioritizes corporate greed over the well-being of millions. In a recent appearance on Meet the Press, Sanders laid out why he believes the Democratic Party has lost its way and, more importantly, how it has lost the trust of those it once stood for. The frustration you see out there, it's real. And it's justified, Sanders declared. In the richest country in the world, people shouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck or fearing their children will face a bleaker future. The gap between the ultra-wealthy and everyone else is a chasm growing wider every day. Sanders took aim at the system itself, emphasizing that the current campaign finance laws enable billionaires to steer elections in their favor. Imagine being a worker putting in 60-hour weeks, struggling to pay rent, while watching the richest 1% amass more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Where is the party standing up to this imbalance? That's the question every working American is asking. When Speaker Nancy Pelosi responded to Sanders' remarks with criticism, he stood firm, arguing that the party hasn't done enough to push meaningful changes like raising the minimum wage or supporting labor unions. If you're an ordinary worker, do you feel like the Democratic Party is putting everything on the line for you? Sadly, most would say no, and that needs to change. Adding depth to the discussion, Sanders spoke about balancing the fight for economic justice with advocating for social and cultural rights. It's not about choosing one over the other. We can fight for a living wage and affordable health care while defending the rights of women and marginalized communities. It's a false choice to think otherwise. In a world where President-elect Trump has twice defeated female candidates, Sanders was quick to assert that future nominations shouldn't be limited by these outcomes. Sexism, racism, homophobia, they all exist, but Americans will support leaders who genuinely fight for their needs and well-being. People are in pain, and they're looking for someone who understands and takes action. He ended with a critical point for the party's future. Trump has offered scapegoats to justify people's suffering. He points to the border, immigrants, and more, providing simple but misleading answers. Democrats must counter this with a real narrative that exposes the root issue: unchecked corporate power and the influence of the billionaire class. Sanders didn't shy away from the whispers in Washington either. On the topic of Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor stepping down, he said, "No, that's not a sensible move. We need thoughtful, strategic decisions, not reactive ones." Now over to you. What do you think of Senator Sanders' take on the future of the Democratic Party? Is it time for a major shift? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Brave Voice for news that puts your voice first.